Nick. Well, welcome back, everybody. It is 2026. It's a new season of Just Two Camera Guys.
Another new season.
Yeah, I'm your host, Emery Wolf, and joining me
is Nick Lamb.
We haven't done this in a while. You're a little slow on this one.
Yeah, always.
Let's try it again. And joining me is
Nick Lamb.
Beautiful.
We're
Nick,
back.
We're back, and we are going. We're rolling. We are. You know what? Let's just jump into it. For the next few podcasts, we're going to be dealing with the Moose Jaw Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
You had a bit of a hand in helping out with this, Nick. Do you maybe want to give us some deets on it?
Yeah. So me and Tim Lanko and Jeremy Ratzlaff, we basically all got together and kept saying, why isn't there a film festival in Moose Jaw? And nobody else was going to start one up, so we finally did.
And like, what? How'd you guys go about that? Like, what do you have to do to set it up? You just book a venue, or what?
Basically, how we did it was we went and got a price from the venue, and then figured out how much we needed to raise in sponsorship, and then kind of realized, okay, worst case scenario, how much is this going to cost us out of pocket?
Yeah. What about like your role specifically? Like, what are you doing for the film festival itself?
Well, so the other guys do most of the work, if I'm being perfectly honest. Where Jeremy's making also that film that we're seeing, like the moose going, he filmed all of that. Tim was actually in the moose, and Tim does a lot of the behind the scenes of figuring out all of these categories and how to do it and how we're going to publish it. And Jeremy made this whole site himself and has never really made a website before. So a lot of it's just artsy guys doing the best we can, try to figure it out.
Is this where we shout out to Wix or something?
Yes. Yeah, I'm sure that played a hand in it, but it's still
our Wix sponsorship.
Yeah, but it still takes, like, look at all this artistic stuff that he did, even with all these logos. Well, you've met Jeremy. He's a pretty detailed guy and pretty good with coming up with a good overall layout and look, and could have been a lot of different things, but chose to be a cinematographer.
So how'd you guys come up with like all these different categories?
So Tim was involved in film festivals, like working for them in the past, and Jeremy's been to a lot of film festivals, and I've heard of film festivals. So between the three of us, yeah. So obviously I came up with all of it all by myself, and then they just rubber stamped it, as you can tell.
Yeah. So basically you're just going off other things, what you see, sort of like I guess the technical aspects too that are in there that you're like, yeah, we should have this.
Yeah, actually, so the technical one was our trickiest one to do because we don't have a huge budget, and each one of these categories requires an award that has to be made. And they're going to be beautiful, like this wood craftsman. I wish I knew his name. I wish that Jeremy was on the podcast. But so a friend of his that is a woodworker in the film industry is essentially making them for cost. And we've been hoping that another sponsorship will come in, so we might be able to get him a few bucks for making these things. But they're beautiful, and the time that goes into making these awards. Yeah, well, after we get one of these awards, I'll take a picture of it and we'll show it on a podcast. But it looks incredible.
For sure. And you have 5 nominations for everything, roughly, give or take. One looks like it's got 10.
So with the technical, we couldn't really give one for best cinematography, best audio, best hair, makeup, wardrobe, like all those typical categories that you would have. Mainly just because we didn't have the budget for all the awards, and we thought we'd lean a little bit heavier towards acting and the films themselves instead for this year anyway.
How do people submit? Like I know people
Freeway.
Can't do
Have you heard of Film Freeway before?
No.
So Film Freeway is this amazing online program. It's it's essentially a website that people submit their film to Film Freeway, and then our judges can go in and rate it. The other judges don't see their rating. And then they can get a ranking of all their favorite films. So we didn't judge any of it. All of it was sent out to a jury, and the jury takes care of it. But then they can rank it behind the scenes without other people knowing what their marks were. And then they meet and they can come up with their tally of who gets nominated and who wins.
Nice. Because like that's what I was first shocked at when I seen this, was like how many different works there are. And I'm assuming everybody here is from Saskatchewan.
Yes. So you had to be, if you go into our terms for the festival, it had to have been essentially like 51% Saskatchewan made. So it had to have been shot in Saskatchewan or had Saskatchewan like director, producer. So if you filmed it somewhere else, you could still technically submit it, but you would have to have some Saskatchewan crew and some key members being crew.
Yeah. So how'd you go about two? You've got so a jury is picking everything. Do they sit there like on the 28th, I believe is the event, right?
28th, yes. So Jeff Beasley's actually going to be down for the event. He was one of the jurors. But the rest of them, so one of the jurors lives in California, like in LA. One of them lives in New York. I don't know where the other one lives. But so they live all over essentially the world. And we kind of did that on purpose to try to not have as much influence so people didn't know the filmmakers. So they were just judging the films and not their relationship with the people.
Yeah. Is there a way to like a place kind of like that app for the film festival submissions? Is there a place like you guys get these jury people from?
No, but that's something we'll have to work on for next year. It just went with so Tim goes to a lot of the film festivals and just people that he's met at the film festivals.
So he's just like hitting them up and being like, yo, do you want to be a jury on this?
Essentially that's like they did great and put in a ton of effort into this. Next year we'll have a little more time to figure out the jury process a little bit better, but this year it was essentially relationships that he'd had with people already. Nice, and nice. Jeff was an obvious no-brainer because he's from Moose Jaw. I'd say probably the most successful, well, I don't think it's even up for debate, the most successful director from Moose Jaw.
Yeah. Do you want to hear my Jeff Beasley story?
Yeah, go for it.
It's one of my favorite stories of when we
Is it
were
appropriate?
Film. Oh yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
So I forget the first show I worked with him on. It might have been like Corner Gas or something. But at that time, like I was just starting out and, I was just this lowly office assistant and, had energy to boot because I was young. And anyways, one of the shows we end up working on, some season of Renegade Press, they ended up booking this like old warehouse for essentially the office space and for the studio as well. They worked in the back and the office was in the front, but everything in there was all concrete. And anyways, Cindy was my boss at the time there, Cindy McDonald, and I was like bugging her. And I'm like, let me bring my rollerblades. It's the perfect place to rollerblade. And it's such smooth concrete. It's awesome. And then finally one day she let me do it. So like every day I'd go in, drop off Jeff's mail or whatever for him. And like just zero reaction from the guy. And then this day I go rollerblading by his office. He come running out of his office. You on rollerblades? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's fucking awesome. And he was just like my bud after that.
That's awesome. Hey, how do we tell if Pete's standing by? Do you see anything on your end?
Pete is in here.
Let's let him in.
Yeah, we'll bring him in. So our first guest here today, we'll add him to the screen. Pete, hopefully you can hear us. Hopefully we can hear you.
You betcha.
There we go. We've
already started, Pete. Welcome here, man. It's good to see you.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
Yeah. So you know Nick from Moose Jaw Times, or like what's going on there?
Yeah, we met when I was actually just kind of getting started in the film world, really. We were doing a project. What was it called, Nick? It was we were doing it with the writers there.
Oh yeah, Dan Clark.
Dan Clark. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. It was
Pete was
he
his
got in that
double
car
on some of the
accident there.
scenes because he
Yeah.
was the only big guy we had. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, that's right too. I forgot about that.
we used you as the driver.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Pete was hauling. It was funny because we'd haul. Like, you can't really tell from this shot, but Pete's like what 6'6",
Mm, yeah.
and in shape. And it's like, so we're hauling all the gear up at the Mosaic Stadium there, and Pete he's got like, I'm thinking it's about a 6-trip thing, and Pete's just got all the gear, just hauling up the stairs. It was the best.
Yeah. That's good. Pete, you've been nominated here for one of these awards. I'm going to actually just go and find the award here somewhere. Do you want to give us a little bit about your film, what it's called, and how you guys maybe got her all put together?
Yeah, so it's kind of an in-depth story, but it all kind of started with, so we do a lot of Indigenous work on different First Nations. I don't actually look it, but I'm half Cree and half Ukrainian. My mom's Cree and my dad's Ukrainian. I just happen to look like that. But so we have a lot of, or I know we do a lot of culture stuff out there. So like really my whole kind of company, we almost entirely just do work basically on different nations all over Saskatchewan. So, Laura, who's our producer, she was at an event where I couldn't attend. I think I was doing another fundraiser at a golf tournament, and she was at a powwow with one of my other camera dudes getting some footage there. And we had a construction company approach her about creating content. They had heard through some of the people at the powwow there who does really good content and stuff like that. So they kind of came to us. So they approached Laura. We ended up doing so this company was called Montana Construction. Their president was Jack Werr. He ended up hiring us to do this project, and they were doing this build. They were like trying to build a First Nation. So we're like, what? So we kind of dived into it, and then so kind of within his business, what he was trying to do was kind of give back to the community. So what was happening was that James Smith Cree Nation, it's a nation that's comprised of 3 different bands. So there's Chukkas Band, James Smith Cree Nation, and then there's the Peter Chapman Band. So they all 3 of them have different histories and stuff like that, so which gets in the documentary. But long and short of it, they were illegally amalgamated by the government. So they were kind of forced all into one single nation, which was James Smith Cree Nation. So they're trying to break out and get their own nation, their own band number on the go, right? So now with the different claims that they've been able to come in with, agriculture benefits claims, like a lot of people call them, the cows and plows and stuff like that in Saskatchewan, they had gotten theirs. So they ended up getting a $50 million advance payment, which they were able to start building their own nation. So that's what they had started doing with these funds. So they started their own like roads, and they have like Sask Energies in there, Sask Powers in there. They have a band office, they have an equipment shed, and then they started and built, I don't want to give too much away, but they built 14 homes, and now we're building another 14. So they have 14 different families moved in there now and things like that. So like they're trying to move away from the James Smith to be able to start their own nation. So then kind of what happened was they needed a construction company to do it for them. So that's where they kind of hired Montana Construction, because they had been doing work on different nations and things like that also. So then in turn, Montana Construction then tried to hire us so that we could do a short documentary for the nation as a kind of a way for the company to give back to the nation as they were providing business by building construction and all that thing. So that's kind of how it all kind of got started. Now where it's kind of going now is we actually only made the first part, because it's actually it's kind of a whole series that we've kind of partnered with Montana Construction, as we're actually looking at different nations to be building on and stuff. But so we're kind of using the Building Nations name, and then we're kind of using different nations. But back to this Peter Chapman, is we started with this part 1, and then there's a lot more to the story. So they want to do a part 2 and a part 3, all with kind of the 22-minute theme kind of across there. So that's what we're actually we're just finishing our pre-production here, and we'll be moving into probably production next month with it. So kind of exciting, and they're pretty excited about it. We have lawyers and stuff like that in Ottawa that we're going to interview and things like that. So it's kind of pretty interesting. It's more of an educational thing, but at the same time, I mean, it's real Saskatchewan history, so it's interesting.
Yeah. So part 2 and part 3, they're still going to follow the James Smith Cree First Nation and
for the Peter Chapman band. Yeah, because there's just more to the story. So like the 3 parts. So the part that we're kind of showing in the film festival here is the main theme is the build, but we're showing the build and then the history in part 1. In part 2, we feature the build and then the claims process. So we kind of get more into detail in the court proceedings and how that's kind of structured and because there was a really interesting piece in there. Like there's a lady, her name is Cynthia Westaway. She's a lawyer in Ottawa, and she initially represented the government, and then she kind of, I don't want to say defected, but she ended up turning and defending the Indigenous side. So there's an interesting little twist there. So that kind of gets into part 2. And then what we're hoping is going to happen with part 3 is, because right now they haven't got their band number yet. They're still fighting for it. So we're hoping in the next year 2 that they get it, and then we can make that last part of it as they're getting it and really kind of conclude the happy story end of it, you know?
Yeah, it does sound good. Do you guys think I can play like 30 seconds of it, Nick? That's not like against any Moose Jaw Festival rules.
No, that's up to Pete. That's all.
Yeah, no, you're not hurting my feelings. You go right ahead.
Okay.
All right, Treaty 5. Peter Chapman signed Treaty 5 in Cumberland House, September 1875.
The audio is not coming through the system memory.
Nah, okay, we'll leave it at that. Okay. But I think people like the main thing is like you can see this area, this land. It's beautiful. That very first drone shot too. You can see that it's a very small community. What is it like for you as a documentarian going into a community that small, and you know people are basically everybody there is going to know you within seconds?
Yeah, so it's kind of wild, because the Peter Chapman band is actually a band made up of 3 families. So there's Heads, Whiteheads, and Britons. That's kind of that's what their last names are. So it's very tight. So it's kind of really important you have to really put in the effort with the research and the details and things like that. And when you're doing something, especially on history, like there's so many elders that have knowledge, and the last thing you want to do is like make a documentary and like the elders will want to disagree with it or something like that. So like you have to go and talk to all these different people and try and get this information, and then find out really who knows, you know, the meat and potatoes, and then can deliver it on screen right out through the lens. So but other than that, like, I don't know, we're very kind of personable. Like, we know the culture and stuff. Like, we show up with like baking and stuff. Like we're very like different in that way. Kind of like Laura and I, we're a husband and wife kind of team. Like she's our producer, and she kind of handles the more of the business end of things, whereas I handle the creative side. So we're actually do the yin and yang things. I do the things that she's not really her strong part, and then she does all the things that I'm terrible at. So
well, plus
it's a perfect thing, right?
You're both so personable. I think that you actually like hit on the perfect thing, because you're getting a lot in these interviews. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's part of it is due to your personality. Like, people just feel comfortable around you, and you like to talk. Like, you're a fun person to talk to.
Part of it, like, you have to get that trust, right? Like, they have to trust you. I don't want to, you know, there's so many things in film where people just want the story, and then they take the story and run with it and make their own thing, and then that's what they don't like there. So we actually had to we really had to be really careful because there was the James Smith tragedy, obviously, that everybody knows. And some of the individuals that are in the story were very involved. Let's say, like, I don't want to give details, but I'll just say they were very involved, and their families were very involved in what happened. So we couldn't, like, so what I'm saying is the nation was really on edge, especially with media and things like that. You see cameras, see drones and things, and then red flags start going up because they had gone through so much. Like, it was a tragedy, right? They went through such a hard time there for those guys. So we really had to be careful in terms of, yeah, the cameras and what we were really doing. So but in order to do that, I mean, you just work closer with the people that are involved. So we like to meet them ahead of time, and then we actually like try and spend time with them and meet them and do fun things and take them for dinner, and then let's hear the stories, and then, you know, like, what would you like to see out of all this? So like we take everybody's kind of perspective and then create a story that we can that everybody's represented, you know, or as best we can anyway.
That's so cool. So, how did you, when you make something like this, because you were such a fast study with this, like putting together films and making them look really good. Did you just dive into learning? Like, you must have just dove into learning how to do this, or did it just kind of come natural?
I didn't go to, well, shit, like, well, I started when I was in Moose Jaw there. So I had gotten, like, I'm an Army veteran. I was in the Canadian Forces for 8 years. I fought in Afghanistan in 2008, things like that. And then when I got out in 2011, I had gone into the oil patch for like 7 years or something like that. And then eventually got laid off. And then it was like, man, what am I going to do with life? So like the last thing you would think of is I would get into film, you know, of all things. Yeah. Like you said, I'm a big guy, kind of, you know, macho-esque or whatever, kind of a big goof, but you wouldn't think that I would be in a creative kind of a thinker field. But when I was in the Army, kind of I had a moment where I was trying to think back at things in my life that I like really enjoyed. And when I was in the Army, actually, it was the age of the little Sony digital camera. So it would always have like a little digital camera in the tack vest. So like it's kind of crazy to tell the story, but like we would come under contact or like we would get in a fight and like I would film some of it. And then like we'd be blowing things up and whatnot, and I would film it. And then I would create like these little videos. So I would put like Transformers music on there, and I would have like things blowing up and making it all like choreographed and everything to the music. And you know, so and then my regiment ended up like loving the videos. So then it was like a thing where it's like, oh, we got to get Kolopenuk to make the videos because we got a video now. And so like that's kind of where I actually fell in love with film, of all things, was like on the battlefield essentially. So it's kind of crazy to think about, but fast forward to like I'm laid off. I had bought a house in Moose Jaw because I was going through a divorce, and then it was like a really hard time for me, and I was trying to think like, what did I truly love to do? And it was making those videos. Like I really it was like PC, Windows Movie Maker back in the day, and like using Napster to like steal music and stuff like that, you know, like way back. But I love doing that kind of stuff and kind of seeing the timelines and like where your audio fits in, where your video fits in, and you know, like you're building these timelines and transitions and all these different things that you don't really, like the normal person I think really thinks of. And I kind of have ADD enough as it is, so it was like a perfect little feeder, like, oh, this is awesome. So it was kind of like where I fell in love with it. But back to your question, I'm terrible for mumbling off here.
You're the best.
back to your answer, your initial question. Yeah, like when I first started or whatever, like I didn't really do school. I actually I kind of started just learning on my own and just figuring it out on YouTube for the first like year. And then I think in that first year we had done that thing, Nick, with Dan Clark. And then after that, I had met Pav, actually, Mike Pavlovsky on that job. And then he actually hooked me up with a job on Cage Fighter, which was filming in Regina. So then I got to be on set. I was just a camera trainee or whatever, but it was the experience, what it was all for, right? So
you got to
that
see
kinda
how
got me
they light
started.
and how they
just
set
seeing how a
up. And
real film crew works and like the different techniques and things. So I kind of learned a little bit there, taught myself all the technical side of things with cameras, settings, lenses, depth, all the different things. So lighting techniques, audio stuff. So like I was kind of taught myself to be like a one-man band where I just had to figure it out on your own, because like it's hard to make money when you're first starting off at this gig if you don't have clients and all that thing. Like it's tough, man. So it's, you really gotta like put it out there and like put it on the line. So it's kind of what we did. And then I was kind of going and we would have this happen and this happen. And then I ended up doing, through the Army, they were willing to pay for some schooling. So I signed up for a 2-year program at Sask Poly to do a media production course. I did the first year and ended up dropping out because I was having to correct my instructors all the time. And I was like, I'm spinning my tires here. Like I gotta just go for it and start my business and stuff like that. So immediately after, we started 155 Films. Ended up doing Indigenous stuff. So like I had a buddy who was a chuck wagon racing driver or whatever. Who's like, come out and make me a video. So I go out and make him a video. And then through him, his sponsor was a chief of another First Nation, and she was the president or vice president of the Indian Relay Association. So through her, she wanted me to do videos for all the Indian Relay teams. So I spent that whole summer following Indian Relay and stuff like that. So then that was my jam, was at the track at all the races and things like that, video of all these kids doing these like insane, like they're jumping off these horses and crashing into each other, jumping on new horses and then going ripping down. Like it's crazy to watch. But that ended up leading to another short documentary that I had made. Yeah. So then I had followed one team and one rider in particular the season after and made this In It to Win It documentary that I had done. And then that one, we kind of just put it out there as feelers, because I didn't really know what to do with it after I'd made it. Initially, it was just to be a little thing for a rider that we had wanted to kind of promote, and then it eventually just turned into a short documentary kind of thing. And then my wife Laura there, she wanted to send it off to a bunch of film festivals, so I was like, okay, go ahead. And then it started winning a bunch of awards. So I was like, what do I have here, So then we just started kind of putting it out there. CBC wanted it, APTN wanted it, all like the Canadian companies, they wanted it. And we reached down into the States, and then sure enough, Paramount wanted it. So it's actually going to be coming out. Yeah, so it's supposed to be coming out, I think, just after May or June sometime this spring/summertime. I think it's done being in the queue, so it'll finally be on Paramount Plus. So should be able to see that there soon, which is just crazy in itself.
I'm so excited for you.
Yeah, it's nuts.
My goodness. Oh, it's the best.
Yeah.
Oh,
but that's kind of how it all started. Yeah.
Yeah, just going back to the documentary here, Building Nations. What was kind of your favorite part about it?
My favorite part about it, oh man, it's kind of hard to pick like one in particular, because it's, when you're doing it, you develop relationships with all these different people. So it's even more than just the deliverable itself for like the guys that are making it, So like a favorite part, I don't know. I really like the story. Like when I'm doing documentary stuff, it's all about the story. So I would have to probably just stick with the story.
Cool. I assume you're going to be in Moose Jaw for the event?
For a bit of it, yeah. I think I'll be there for our showing and a little bit after. We're having to rip down. We're actually currently filming a private project for I don't know how to say it, even the client, but for like a government-ish type client up north. We're doing a bunch of interviews and stuff up there we've been doing that for the last month now, but yeah, we'll be ripping down from La Loche area to hit the festival in Moose Jaw.
Oh, I love it.
Ripping back up there. So
that's awesome. What is there something in particular with the festival itself that you're looking forward to when you're in Moose Jaw? Or?
Well, I haven't done anything like this in Moose Jaw before, so it's it's something it's uncharted territory for me. So this is interesting. I've never really done, like, all the film festivals we've done before are online things, and we get invites to go to them, but we just don't. So
Yeah.
this is kind of the first thing that I'm doing. So it's going to be cool to see my video on a screen and all those people watching it and stuff. So yeah, definitely pumped to see it.
Cool. Nick,
Thanks
I think
for
we should, we'll wrap it up here. Nick, before we do wrap it up, where do people get tickets?
Just go to moosejawfilmfestival.com, click on the tickets button, and get tickets. $15 gets you the full day pass. So we tried to make it the price of one movie. Gets you in there for all day.
Buy them up. Buy 2, buy 3.
Come check out Pete's film. Pete's film will be on the 4:30 block, so perfect time to watch a movie.
Yeah, and that's Saturday, February 28th. All right, I think we will. We're gonna hit that outro, and we'll be out of here. Thanks for joining, everybody.
Thanks a lot, boys. Appreciate it.
I think your outro has no music.